I reached an inflection point very early in my dorm room where I said, I can make really good money. No, I was 21 at the time. So I thought like $100,000 was just the most money you could ever make a year, right? And I was like, I can make $120,000 a year if I never hire employees and I never bring anybody on, and I'm just a contractor, right? And or I can risk capital, hire people, and build a real business, right? I can build more than just a sole proprietorship. And I mean, sole props are businesses, but like you're talking about a real going concern that has equity value. You got to have the team and people. And I made a decision literally at 21. I'm going to chase building a team, but that means that you charge by the hour and pay by the month, right? You're paying people by the month, and you're charging by the hour. That's a really hard business model. And in product, it means you're investing for years before you start getting revenue back. And I was doing both. I mean, from day one, I took all the money we made and plowed it into building product because it's just what you want to do. You want to sell widgets instead of time. And so that was the linchpin. Once you decide to hire people, then you do have to come last. This is where I think it's important to talk about ego, because ego takes down so many companies. Ego destroys businesses. Ego destroys teams. Ego destroys ideas. Because if you think that you are too good to suck it up for a few years on pay and that you deserve to be paid like a highly profitable company, I would argue you should not be in a startup. You need to go work in a large corporation where everything is hunky-dory and guaranteed and you can chase the corporate ladder. I have a huge problem with high executive pay for startups. Huge issue. I mean, you should make enough to buy food and housing and clothes. And I mean, like that you gotta really cut it, the executive pay, you gotta cut it way down because their benefit is at the end, right? And it's once you become profitable. If comfort is the enemy of progress, just in general. And if CEOs are really comfortable, your startup is going down in flames and you're making $300,000 a year, how much do you really care? Like, let's be honest. Are you really hungry? Like when you eat every hour, do you really worry about where your food's gonna come from? And I can tell you this, my wife had to call me for years to check the bank balance if we could buy groceries. And that drives you to work hard, to figure it out, to build a profitable machine. And so my challenge with people who believe that they should always get paid as the top person is that they're not putting their team first and they're not putting the business first, they're putting themselves first. And that's a really difficult attitude. Now, they should be fairly compensated. My problem is I feel like they were giving them too much food and they weren't hungry. And it doesn't force you into this cycle of like, we gotta figure this out. And they end up being companies that IPO and still can't become profitable. And you're seeing that. You're seeing people who never had to figure out how to eat, and you give them an $800 million company and they still can't generate a profit. Like, at what point in the business model is this business gonna generate cash? Like, I really, like, at what point? It's gotta eventually happen, or investors are going to shellac it. I mean, it's greater fool theory at its finest. Everybody's just hoping that they can sell the business before they have to prove it can generate cash. Because fundamentally, a business that doesn't generate cash is worthless. Fundamentally, unless you can do something else with its data. But even then, you're counting on making more money than the losses. You got to generate cash. And so that's why I think it's important to say, like, when you go in, I get paid last. Sometimes I'll miss a paycheck. My people always get paid on time, and almost just as important, my vendors always get paid on time.